Okay, when beautiful people sit down, they also discuss beautiful topics. Yes, it may not be topic that you enjoy, but at the end of the day, it is what will help you live better, enjoy your life better, and for today, move around better. Yes, I've talked about living. I've also talked about movement. It gives you an idea of what we're going to be looking at today. We started the discussion last week. A lot of things came up, and a lot of you also asked questions. We were not able to take all of them, but we intend to try our best today and take care of it. Last week, I recall, very importantly, a lot of people complained about the congestion, on the road arising from bad or poor city planning. And then we have today with us the president of the town planners. He will tell us himself, why he had to plan it this way or not plan it that way. Well, the show is Conversation. My name is Elizabeth, and I have people seated in the house. Joy is still panting because I know she rushed in the studio. Joy, what happened?
I don't know what's happening in Abuja. Every morning you wake up, one road is taking off, and they're doing the roads, and I don't understand, because the roads that I know are good. So I don't see the reason why they're doing those roads, because there are other places outside the town where the roads are supposed to be done.
Oh, we're actually hitting on our topic. So it's our problem that made you late.
Yes, yes.
Her name is Joy.
My name is Joy. It's good to be here. I'm going to do something very unusual today. Sorry. My darling was 50 yesterday.
Oh my God!
My darling was 50 yesterday. We want to tell you we love you, and we know that welcome to the club of the 50s. That will be this is the best. This is the best floor to be.
This is so unfair.
I know. We love you.
You should have told me to rehearse.
Oh yes, we love you. And this is a token. A little token for your 50th. Happy birthday, sweetie.
Thank you. I'm sure everybody's wanting for me to open up this thing.
No.
Wait, I'm going to open it.
No.
I'm going to open it. It's just for me.
Just for you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I will discuss this after the program.
Okay.
How you dealt with me? That's not fair.
I got you just like how you got me.
All right, so, sir.
Hello, my name is Adaji Usman, and it's nice being here again.
Thank you so much. He's a special marshal, so he has every
I'm the zonal
rights.
coordinator of the Road Safety Special Marshal, in charge of RS7. RS7 is FCT and Niger.
Oh,
yeah.
So you're going to have a lot of questions. So it's not only him that will be on.
That's my state.
Yeah, okay. Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's lovely.
My name is Maimuna Omi Abdullah, aka Coach
Coach Didi, yes.
Good morning.
We missed you last
My
week.
sister, I missed you too.
It wasn't my fault, though.
No, it was my fault.
So I will let you introduce yourself.
All right. My name is Tamplana Nathaniel Atebije, the National President of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners.
Nice. Okay, you have heard the personalities seated here with us. It's either they are doing something to help this work, or we, the three of us, the ladies, are not doing anything, but we're the ones suffering it. But all the same, let's see what my winning team captured, and they're bringing back to us on table. Let's see this.
Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria, is sitting on a vast land of 2,824 square miles and 7,315 kilometers. It is undeniably one of the most beautiful cities in Africa. One of its many attractions are the roads. Yes, the roads are so well constructed. And with roads so well done, one would expect that accidents are seen only on the pages of the dictionary. However, that is not so, as Abuja has one of the highest records of accidents. Now you wonder why. Hold on and come along. Let me show you. Obviously, those are clear examples of the saying that accidents just don't happen, they are caused. Now let's head back to the studios for our analysis.
It's really sad. I thank you so much, Deada, Faith, and Ehi, for that beautiful package. Took your time and you went round. Now, there's something my people say, and it's actually in Igbo, but I want to do a translation, and I'll do it my own way, the pidgin language. We say want, you know get, get, you know want.
Want,
You know get,
get.
you know want. That's actually how I see this scenario. I mean, we all cry for good roads. And now some people don't have it and they're still crying for it. In Abuja and several other cities, there are good roads. And they're supposed to protect us. But we find out that these roads are killing us.
Yeah.
Special Marshal, what is the problem?
Yeah, thank you for taking me first. I've been itching to speak on this issue of road menace in FCT, particularly. Now, accidents are caused by three major factors. One, it could be human. Two, it could be environmental. And three, it could be mechanical. Now, let's take it from the mechanical aspect. Most times, we try to pretend not to know that our vehicles are not roadworthy. We pretend about them, maybe probably because we are not financially buoyant, or maybe because we procrastinate. By weekend, I will get this done, I will get that done. And then especially when it has to do with the arms and so on. Now, this can cause very serious and fatal accidents. And sometimes when it does happen, it does not affect the driver alone or that vehicle alone. It could possibly run into other vehicles, other road users, and that could cause accidents. Then there's what we call environmental hazards. Now, a situation where now we're going into the Harmattan periods, the haze, and so on. Now, it is very important that people get careful when they drive on the roads. Most times, the speed at which you drive on normal day is not actually the speed you should be driving during the Harmattan period or the raining season or during the rain period. Now, what we tell people is you use what we call common sense when you drive, depending on the situation you find yourself at that time.
Common sense.
Yes, common sense. But most times we say common sense is not common.
Yes.
But it depends on who is the perspective from which you're looking at it, though. Then when you talk about human, now, I need to be at NTA by 9 a.m. and I stay at the outskirts of the town, in Kubwa precisely. And I want to be here by 9. The program starts at 9. And I'm leaving my house 9:15.
Yeah.
And I know possibly I could run into hitches, hold-ups, and so on. I want to beat the next 15 minutes, I must be at the studio. This is human. This could lead into fatal accidents. And we tell people that you don't just drive your car. You drive for yourself and you drive for other road users. So if you have all this at the back of your mind, then it means you are good to go. Then the good roads, especially those that move from Lagos. I mean, almost about 10, 15 years now, down the line, when we started moving people from Lagos, about 20 years to Abuja, is well enough for people to have understood that good roads are meant to be used carefully. You know, in Lagos, everywhere is choked. Traffic, gridlocks here and there. So you can hardly have a road that you can run at 120, you can move at 120 or 130 for about 10, 20 minutes. But here in Abuja, you can't have such road. From Asokoro down to Zuba, you can do 120, 140 as the case may be, because the roads are good. That brings you to the point that the fact that the roads are good does not mean that it should be turned into a race ground where you could go and then test run how strong or speedy your vehicle can go. So this thing put together, if we are mindful of them, I think our roads will be safe.
True. It's important we do that because, like you mentioned, somebody told me once that when my tires are bad, I don't go outside my environment too much. But when my tires are good,
But the question is, why should you
drive
even allow your tires to get bad in the first place?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That is the
To be
question.
honest, if I may add,
Yes.
while you were saying this about, when your car is due and you're not really maintaining the car,
Yes.
it took me back years ago, when things were really hard economically. I don't think people decide they don't want to take care of their cars and make it, sometimes, believe me, the conflicting demands.
You live to fix that car
I
some
know,
other day.
believe me, I'm not trying to make excuses.
Good.
But maybe because of my experience, and I know that to an extent I'm a reasonable and responsible person.
Yeah.
But there are times that you have to struggle between food and the
And
car.
maintaining the car.
And then the cost of living. You know, I'm not making excuses,
No,
as I
I
said.
agree
But
with you.
sometimes, believe me, it's really hard.
I
It's
know.
really hard.
Okay, I would chip into what you just said about one, women really don't know how to maintain cars.
Yes.
That's the truth. I'm a woman, I'm gonna say it.
Are you serious?
Oh yes. I don't
I'm
it's
different.
very difficult for me to wake up in the morning and I just say I want to check my oil, I want to check my water. Let's be honest.
Yes.
But I had a dad who always did it in the morning, and one day he told me, that is a death trap. That's a death trap. He said, I notice all you do in the morning, reverse, and it's gone. And I know that's the way you're going to come back in. And because I had a dad that I always used to see, check the car, check the oil, check the stuff, I started doing it. Luckily for us, now, we started with cars that if it's bad, that your dashboard is not showing anything.
Yeah.
But now, at least, if you have some mechanical faults, it shows.
Yeah.
A road safety caught me one day, which was very strange. And the guy said, your tires are worn out. And I was livid. How do you know? Is it your job? What is your business? And they taught me the biggest lesson of my life.
Yeah.
The guy made sure they took me to what do you call it?
Zero?
No, they took me to
07?
Secretariat.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay,
they told
CBD.
me I must buy tires.
Yes.
I was livid. I called all the people that I knew. The man said, Madam, it is not calling those people. It is for your safety.
Sure.
And it was a big one. Buying the tires was difficult because why? Many people I know tend to buy second-hand tires, not because they want to do that, but because they cannot afford it
New
at that
tires,
time.
yes.
And the second-hand tires, to be honest to say, they're not safe.
The thing is that it's not even about being safe. You could buy a new tire and must have expired.
That's another
You know,
thing.
it
Yeah,
has
they
an
told me.
expiring date.
Yeah.
You see your tires, you see the batteries you buy. Sometimes you could buy battery and in a couple of 1 year, the battery packs up. Some other person will buy the same battery and use it for 3 years.
How do
It
I
depends
know?
on the
How do I
manufacturing
know
period.
the-
The period of manufacture
there.
is there.
Yeah.
And a tire lasts for 4 years.
Is it written on the paper?
Yeah,
or
that
is
is
it
there.
written on
It's
the tire?
inscribed
It's on the-
It's on the tire.
yes, on the tires. All
Okay.
tires are inscribed.
Yes.
There are about 4. There are usually 4 inscriptions. 4 what? Let me latest inscripted there, or is it latest figures? Right now, the month of production and the year of production.
Okay.
You could see 02/20/20, 02/20. That means this tire was produced in February 2020. You understand? Now you need to take note of this. Sometimes people could bring these tires, keep them in their shop for as long as without customers, as long as 3 years, and then you run into buying it at the 4th year.
Okay, now
And on buying it, you are buying a new tire,
tire.
but unfortunately you are buying a
It's
one-out tire.
expired.
So now,
It's
when
expired.
I see 2020,
Yes. When you see-
does it mean it's expiring 2020?
no.
That's the
No.
manufacturer's-
Day of manufacture plus 4 years.
Okay, so I just add 4 years to
Yes.
it.
So if you now see a tire that was produced maybe 2018, for instance, 2019, 2020, 2021, by 2022, that tire is expired. So if you see it now,
No.
it's an expired tire. You can't buy it.
Wow.
We
Yeah.
learn
So
every day.
we need to know all this.
Yeah.
Okay, now the thing is, one of the things people do, like you mentioned, we all do it really. It's not because the money it's there to fix
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
but there's something I tell all of us, including myself. When we studied economics, we learned something about alternative costs.
Yeah.
We learned
Alternative for God.
priority.
Scale of
And
preference.
then scale of preference and all of that. And I always say to myself, if you're not careful, what you're trying to avoid, you get to still do it. For instance, if my tire is wearing off and I know, and I keep saying, okay, I will, it's a question of planning. All I do is park that car, use taxi or bus. Do you
you
understand?
afford it?
For the time
Let
being,
her-
for the time being. Then when I eventually am able to save and raise money to buy the tire,
fix them.
I go fix them.
Yes.
Your next question, what you said, can I afford the transport? Well, if I can't afford it, I sit home. That's number one.
It's as
or
simple
I
as that.
trade. The other one is, for most establishments, especially within the city center. There are available buses. It's a question of finding out, There are cheap buses to actually help you. As long as you're working, and if your money that you're paid cannot take you home from there.
Joy, there are 1,001
free
persons in
buses.
FCT that have no car.
And
they go about their business.
Yes, use the buses. And
Depending on the business.
for some,
Depending on the business as
yes,
well.
for some part of the time, you can walk home. I mean, walking is a good thing.
Can I add something? now?
Where I was coming to, you will still add it, is a lot of us, do not actually listen to rules and regulation. But I was going to roll it to our president here, but add your own first, and I'll add it to.
For example, I have this bold guy that one day I was on the boat and then he saw VIO and he was all panicky, and I said, why don't you just, for God's sake, go and
do the right thing?
And then he said, Hajia, believe me, it's not that I don't want to. I have to save towards it. He said, whatever I do, I have. See, you're talking because me and you are middle class. I'm talking about people that he has to use this car to feed. He has to use this car to pay rent. He has to use this car to send the kids to
That
school.
is where planning comes
That's
in.
what I'm saying. And he said he has to plan it.
No,
so
it's
it takes.
not planned.
Like I said, I'm not making excuses
Good.
because I told him, look, this is important. You know the time the car papers expire. You have to start planning before then. Then he told me, just listen. And he told me he had a misfortune, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think one of his kids was sick. So the savings went to the kid. You see, that's what I'm trying to explain. Sometimes these things happen to people.
What I'm trying
That
to
means
say,
his wife is not working.
Of course.
That's one thing, that happens to very few persons.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Meanwhile, a lot of us will buy into that story. I tell people, if you don't know how to parent, please marry your wife, marry your husband, and enjoy two of you. Marriage
and live bearing children.
Children
Doesn't work
are
in this
side
environment.
attractions to
It
the
doesn't
marriage.
work in this
They are not a
environment.
must. So we go about having children. I have 3 kids. One day my mother-in-law woke up and asked me, what's the problem? You need more
kids.
children. And you need boys because I have 3 girls. And I said, why? She said, you need it. How can you just sit down? As young as you are, only 3 children. Please produce more. You at least another this. She has said, all those things. I'm like, how are you going to pay their fees? Yeah. So a lot of us are pressured into having more problems than we are supposed to. But then I'm going back to my president because I started something earlier. I said a lot of us don't plan. And then we don't weigh in on alternative costs and priority scale of preference like he augmented for me. I want to find out what is the problem. Why are we all shifting to Maraba Nyanya, Kubwa, Lugbe, Gwagwalada, Abaji? Meanwhile, offices are in Area 11, 10, 1, 2. What's the problem?
Okay.
Is it that we did not plan this thing well?
All right. Thank you very much.
I like that.
Let me start from where the road marshal stopped. There is a dictum which we say in transportation planning, and which is the careless kill the careless. That is the problem.
Careless.
Now,
Kill the careless.
Now, what am I talking about? He talked about factors that are responsible for accidents. Human factors, environmental factors, and so on and so forth. All of them dovetail into what we call carelessness. If the environment is easy and you are careless, you kill another person. If you have mechanical problems on your vehicle and you do not take care of it, that carelessness will kill another person, and so on and so forth. So, everything in life is about planning. You either plan or you perish. You either plan or you fail. You either plan or you run into confusion. I was telling some people yesterday that even God himself, he planned.
And rested on the 7th day.
God bless you. That was what God did. And so if God plans, who are we humans that we must not plan?
True.
Nothing good happens through accident.
No.
Things must be organized. You must plan for it so that you get good results. I was telling somebody again that yesterday, I said, look, sometimes if you have a vision and you do not even you have not planned how to execute it. And one of the things that you need for the execution of this vision is money. Vision without planned execution is illusion.
Like
And
a
this-
mirage.
Can you take that again?
That's a mirage.
Vision.
without a plan to execute it, it's illusion, it's daydreaming. You
And
will
you
never
say
get
that's
there.
supposed to
Mirage.
mirage. Okay.
It's- thank you very much. That's another way of saying it. So now let me get back to what we were talking about, which is the issue of people living on the outskirts and
Working.
Now you will discover that in the planning of Abuja, we are taking Abuja as an
Yes,
example.
case study.
Case study.
Now, provisions were made for every category of people in terms of economic class to be within every neighborhood. Look at where development in the city started from. Let's say Area 1. You have enough space for all classes of people. You have 1-bedroom flat, you have 2-bedroom flats, you have 3-bedroom flats, you have duplexes. They are planned there so that they can accommodate everybody. And the work areas, roads and facilities have been provided enough that will make movement easy. But the challenge we have within our client is that the poor calls himself a poor man. The low class sees himself as permanently a low class person. Now, let me give you an example. I'll substantiate. Let me give you an example. Now, when in the wisdom of government, they brought in the monetization policy, the people who were in 1-bedroom houses in Area 1, in Area 2, they were given the option to buy their houses. Do you know what they did? Most of them sold them to other people, so that they would relocate into the satellite towns.
That's true.
They looked at the immediate value of the money and forget the long-term impact on their lives. So it is not about planning. Planning was done to accommodate everybody. The people who are living in Nyanya Gwagwalada, yes, at the beginning of the city, when enough accommodation might not have been there, some people might have been pushed to, but when, as the city started stabilizing, people were now being appropriately quartered. And the low income would still have had good opportunities of staying within town that would have cut down on their expenses in terms of movement within various parts of the town. But to a large extent, I would say that it is by choice. And the choice is actually not cheaper for them than...
Okay. Now, is it
I
still
will
by
not,
choice?
I
Is
will
it still
not,
by choice
yeah, okay.
that all the government, offices, a lot of establishments are all in? We even gave it a title: business area, government area,
areas.
and all of
Yeah.
that. I would expect that the scenario we have in the country we are imitating in running our system here, which is America, is where a situation where if you're in New York, for instance, the Queens, the Manhattan, and all of that, Brooklyn, and all of that, every city has a complete facility to serve itself, including government facility. Now, if you're working in Nigeria, in Abuja, a civil servant, if you're in Gwagwalada, there is no NTA, for instance, in that place. Everybody is centered in one area. I can actually use my leg and trek around to do all my government work, to do all my businesses in a day. Why are some of these things not planned to situate in Karu?
I think
Let me quickly get into that. In city planning, we have hierarchies of services. We have hierarchies of services. For example, the central business district, where most of the employment centers are, they take care of the highest order of services. Now, there is the next hierarchy, which should deal with some intermediate needs of everybody within the settlement. We have sector centers. This is another level of employment area and business area. Beyond the sector centers, you have what we call the district centers. From the district centers, you have neighborhood centers. If you look at Area 1, you have Area 1 neighborhood center,
Yeah.
you have Area 2 neighborhood center, you have Area 3 neighborhood center, and you have a district center around Area 10. So these things are in hierarchies that whatsoever are the immediate needs that you need, that anybody might have, you can easily reach them through planning. Now, most of the government employments, like you have said, they are in the central area. Quite a lot was made in terms of transportation facilities in plan. Let me say in plan, so that people can reach.
I like that.
So the plan was there, but perhaps maybe the challenge you might now lean back on is the challenge of implementation. Light rails were planned for so that it could bring people from every distant part of the satellite towns to get you into the city. But unfortunately, where are they today?
I think I need to chip in at this point. Sorry.
Okay.
I wouldn't say is on the plans made just probably on the pages of the papers. I would also say that most of the problems we have today is attributed to us, the citizens. Let me tell you what I mean. Kubwa, for instance, you will correct me if I'm wrong here. The story buildings we have in Kubwa today, from my understandings, were not meant to be there. It were meant to be bungalows, well-designed bungalows, and so on. But today, some other persons, probably because they are a bit wealthy, they have taken the laws into their hands and have erected massive buildings all around there. Now, it brings to the fact that these people you're talking about, most of them have relocated down to the satellite areas rather than probably live within and around the environment where their workplace is. That is one. Two, you also understand that the issue of planning, what I think we should do as a country is, which you just touched a little now, make adequate provisions. I am an engineer by profession and also a surveyor, a land surveyor. I remember I was carrying out a project, sometimes 1998, around the Wuse 2, close to Ilo filling station, around that end. And just around the building, at every plot, you have armored cables laid to that point. You also have the sewage system around there. They are all domiciled in the same place. What you need to do is you are done with the building, you just bring in the armored cable, you connect, and then of course run your sewage directly into the central sewage system, and it goes. But today that is not the case.
True.
These things were actually planned, like you said, but unfortunately we have altered them completely. Then it brings me back to the government itself. The government has also turned deaf ears and of course turned their face away from some of these things. Probably because somebody is being induced somewhere financially and had refused to do what is supposed to do. The present minister came in and said, look, all these buildings are going down. Is it that somebody didn't know that those things were wrong, ab initio? Or is it that that is just coming up now? So our attitude and of course the way we look at most of these things need to be put into consideration. Finally, Abuja is not meant for everybody. I need to say this in a very clear term, and they have said it. This is a developing state. This is the capital of Nigeria.
Joy, why are you laughing?
Yo, that's the truth. It's the capital of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And most times when we travel out, we say, look, Abuja needs to be like New York. It needs to be like this. It needs to be like that. Now, if it must be like that, then it means all hands must be on deck to do what is right at all times. And we can get it right. We went to Dubai and then under 24 hours, you have seen road where there was no road. You've seen this. We can't do it under this situation. It can't be achieved. So if Abuja must develop like every other developed country in the world, then it means the right thing must be done without sentiment.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Okay.
Abuja is not meant for everyone in the sense that Abuja city center at the Abuja itself.
Let us look at it this way. When El-Rufai came and said Okadas must leave the city center, it became a problem. Meanwhile, people were dying on a daily basis. Now, was the city center meant for Okada riders?
No, it wasn't.
Even the satellite towns, are they meant for Okada riders? Now, there are provisions that are supposed to be made in a developed country or a developed state or a developing state where you could have vehicles that move you from one point to the other, or possibly you take a drop just like we have the Ubers or this. If once it is properly planned, there are people that will not be able to survive under that planned situation. And that is why I use that word. I'm not saying everybody cannot come into Abuja, but if you must come, then you should be able to have a means that will sustain you in living in that place. If you go to America today, there are places where it's not meant for everybody.
Yeah, that's sure.
That is what I'm saying.
But in the case of Okada in particular,
Yes.
you see, I think things come up when the need arises. I remember as a child, there was no Okada. As a child,
Yes,
I didn't
we
know there was
knew
anything
that.
called Okada. We
Yes,
knew taxis.
yes.
But over time, I think the population and then the lungu. I used to live in Lokogoma.
There are things you need to consider,
What's
please.
lungu lungu?
Yes,
That's
internally.
Internally.
There are things
Yeah.
you need to consider. Every situation has an advantage and disadvantage.
Absolutely.
Now, when you put them on scale, where does the scale lies? Where does the weight lies? If the rate of death and insecurity that comes as a result of this outweighs the usefulness, then of course you turn your eyes against it.
We don't have an
Because-
alternative. There is no
No.
I will not-
No.
I will- okay,
Do you
sir,
know? Sorry,
I have to-
I'll land here now. Sorry.
Okay.
Now you will see a situation whereby an Okada picks person, and the next thing the person is killed. They take them to unknown destination. They break legs. Every now and then,
Even
when we
taxis do that.
had Okada in the town, it was accidents.
Keke Napep does it.
The same thing with Keke Napep, but
Yeah.
I'm going to that. I was just using Okada as a case study. Now, these things are rampant. Now, do you compare? I'm going to take a boat now from here to maybe Nyanya for 5,000, and I'm going to spend at the end of the day, I will be spending 50,000 to treat myself if I fly an Okada. Which do I prefer? So these things must be considered. We're talking about lives.
Oh, wait, okay, so, I just have to chip in. My body is
Yeah, itching. I'm waiting.
my body's itching, and it has been itching for a while. You see, I use Lagos as a case study. How many are we here? But look at Lagos, because they have done their job.
Yes.
Look at the rail system. Now, what they're planning to do now is to get people from their own destinations to the rail stations so that it makes the thing easier for them. So the thing here is, like we say, some people are not doing their job. Because the bottom line here is that, like he said, people decided to sell their houses. I don't agree.
They did.
People could not afford to buy the houses.
No, they bought. They did buy.
No, it was a mortgage.
They
were
bought
paying
and sold.
installments.
Yes.
They were paying installments.
They bought and sold.
If they sold the houses, means they bought it first.
No,
Yes,
they
they
didn't buy
bought
them.
and sold.
No,
They didn't buy them.
They didn't buy them. They were
didn't buy
paying
them.
installments.
Look, you see, the thing here was that, like we say, you have to privatize. Then things were tough. So what most people did, because I had friends, I came in here like 27 or 26 years ago. So I came into Abuja when Abuja was...
So which means we have about 3 or 4 houses.
How I wish, you know. And the thing here that I found, because I had so many friends who were working in the civil service, they could not afford it. Let's be honest. Even paying, the banks were not giving loans, one. Because if you're working in an office, I thought that they would have done some things to make it easier for the supposedly lower cadres. So right now in Abuja, I don't know what happened. They now decided to drive away the people that could not stay here. I know people who come from Suleja. It's not intentional. Because now those houses, even the area ones now, the rich people who have houses in Maitama and Wusetu have taken over those places. Now the places that you're supposed to live in, they've turned it into offices. They've turned it into how many floors so that they can rent them out. So now what they are doing now is that I don't think there's a middle class in this country. It's either the poor or the
Do
rich.
people live in
So now they've-
Ikorodu? Do people live in Ikorodu? Sorry, do people live in Ikorodu
yes,
and then
people-
come to work in the Keja?
Yes, they
Do they
do.
do that?
They do.
Now, what is the attitude to meeting up with their challenges in Lagos
No, let me
compared to the
no, let me-
challenges
let
of
me-
people here
let me
meeting
tell
up
you-
with the
let me
challenges?
tell you the difference.
Abuja is
Let me
more
tell you-
closer than
no,
it
let me
is in
tell you the
Lagos.
difference with Lagos. Most people I know tend to do the rail and the
When
boat.
did the rail come in?
No, and the
It's
boat.
recent.
Yeah,
Auntie?
no,
It's recent.
there was still rail, but they didn't have too much.
I know they
So
have a
now
lot
they-
of boats.
They had boats.
The canoe
Because
boats,
I-
Those are
all
also
that.
recent.
No,
To go and what have you?
No,
From
boats.
what do you call it?
I used to do
That's,
the island
markets,
into
what's it?
Ikorodu and
I
all
think
that.
the
because
bottom line is planning.
No,
The
you
bottom
see,
line is
the
planning
thing-
and attitude.
These
two things
what
must
I'm
go.
trying to say is that the middle class, the poor, the all that, See, you have to decide. These people have to help. The situation in the country now is not even easy. So the thing now is that people have moved to Kubwa, people have moved to those places, not because they want it. Look at how much you have to rent places here. Yeah. So they are looking at it and saying, okay, see, they've pushed us to this side. Okay, many people now tend to use their cars as kabu-kabu.
Yes.
Not because they want to do that.
Which is risky.
Which is very risky. So, and one thing I now notice is that they put so many people again in the front. You have 3 people sitting in front. And most of the time,
3?
And I wonder about the marshal. And I said, it is not about selling things.
Throwing stones.
So, yeah, because I'm in my car. I'm being stopped all the time. And I tend to see people who are beating laws being let out, being let go. And most of the time, these people tend to use one way.
Sorry, I don't. I don't always like to talk in defense of government.
Okay.
I don't always want to talk in defense of government.
Okay.
But in this circumstance, let me say that when government decided to sell out these houses, they made an alternative for each beneficiary.
Okay.
ASO savings, yes.
Yes, there was.
Many of them went to
I mean, because they will be deducting this thing from your salary. Yes. And so this window was given to each civil servant.
How much was the salary?
It wasn't really.
No, it is planning.
Okay.
This is all planning. Look, if you have 100 naira today, and you know that this is what is going to take you throughout the month, you will still live and have a savings. It is all about planning. So planning
really,
is...
sir?
I'm just giving a hypothetical issue. Okay, there's nobody who is earning 100 naira today.
No.
There's nobody who, I mean, the least earner in government now is about 30,000 or something in that region.
Within that
and a bag of rice is how much?
Oh, well.
No. You don't. Your analysis shouldn't go down.
No. I was just thinking out loud.
Go somewhere.
You see,
Nobody eats a bag of rice in 1 month.
I know. I was just thinking it.
So it's all a matter of saving, a matter of planning. So when you plan well, you will live well.
I think in all this, like I said earlier, it has to do with our attitude and approach to issues. You talked about economics. At least elementarily, we're able to be taught on how to save, on how to plan. It's not as if it's easy for anybody.
Yeah.
All of us are in this. We buy from the same market. We use the same road. We use this. We use that.
True.
But the bottom line here is this: safety. We were talking about these people that use that have 2 persons or 3 persons in front of the vehicle. Road safety.
I said you were throwing stone at him.
Yes, I listened. I heard that.
And he's finally listening to it.
I did. Road safety are not magicians.
Yeah.
They are not supernatural human beings, just like the Nigerian police too. Now, once upon a time in this country, because of that kind of situation, the road safety agitated. They said we needed arm. The same country we are in said, no, what do you need arm for? You are supposed to go to the road and control traffic and do A and do B, and that is just that. Now, a typical Nigerian today will not respect you if you are not armed. In fact, even in most cases, if you are armed, they don't even look at you. I gave an instance last time. Zuba. That Zuba there, we had a unit commander in Zuba who just left there. A lady, she did everything. What she did was she went to the communities, from community heads to community heads, union heads to union heads. She brought all the stakeholders, and that's what we do in road safety. We bring all stakeholders, Nigeria Union of Road Traffic Workers, the military, the police, the VIOs. We meet, we have stakeholders meeting. And what we do, we discuss. Now, this is the problem we have. Your members are having 2-3 persons in front of the vehicle. That is not good for us. How do we do this? Please, from your pack, you don't need to allow this, don't need to allow that. We do that a lot. And you'll see that within that period, they will sit up. Once the vehicles leave that place and drives out, they add the number of persons. If you stand in front of that vehicle, how many persons have we lost? If you stand to stop that vehicle, they will knock you down and they will run away. Sometimes mob actions. When we stop such vehicles and then you try to correct them, they come in their numbers. They bomb vehicles of the road safety. They do so much to us. So sometimes you need to be safe because safety is paramount. So that is why at times you see when they turn their face away, it's not because they're comfortable with it. A lot of measures are being put on. And that brings us to going digital. Like I said last week, we have them on our cameras and then we review this camera. If it's possible for us to go, get them outside their comfort zones. I mean, it becomes more better. And the road safety is doing so much in that regard. I think
All
I can
right,
give that to the...
a lot of people are writing in.
Commander.
I'll try to take some of them, but I want a special message from the town planner head with us. But let's see. Somebody says, let the government construct alternative roads leading to central business district. That's Chinedu, and he said he's writing from Kurudu. And another person says, not until the government begins to build in the rural area and enforce law banning rural urban migration, it will keep getting worse.
How can we
Can you ban it?
I think they're throwing tantrums to the town planner, not telling them. But I want to actually link it up with, before you give us your message for today, I want you to look at speed limits in, residential areas and several other areas. I was actually taking a walk, I think 2 days ago, early morning. It was actually on a Sunday. Yeah, so the road, people were not out yet. So that person believed that it was early and the road was free. And it was just at a corner. You need to see the speed. I was scared for myself. And I just, all I did was, why? And he kept going on. I'm sure he didn't even see me, So I am wondering, in town planning, we're taught in a basic primary school that these are signages, these are part of road furnitures that we must mount to guide people. And I tried to take extra miles on that road. I didn't see any. Are you working hand in hand, or is it actually your job to ensure that signages and road furnitures are provided to ensure that the pedestrian or Legedis people like me are safe?
Yeah, thank you very much. This takes me to an issue which is very, very critical, for us in Nigeria. When you are designing an area for various land uses, there are design controls and there are design guides. The way you design a commercial district is different from what you do in a residential area. What you do in an industrial area, the type of roads, the alignment of roads, the geometric alignment of roads in industrial districts is quite different. Now, within residential districts, we try to make the roads as short as possible. We try to make them not to be entirely straight. Most of them are, they are in a curvilinear design pattern, so that you can see not too far a distance at a time. That will make you to be careful. But unfortunately, many of these estates you are seeing, they were not designed by town planners.
Are you serious?
That is the problem.
Are you people not protesting?
Now, for us, this is what I'm saying. That for how many of the estates, let me give you an example of Abuja. How many of the estates that you have in Abuja were built with an approved plan?
Honestly.
Whose fault?
Let me tell you, I'm going there also. Now, one of the challenges we have is, before I came in, while we were in the waiting room, they were talking about introducing some lessons in politics for the people in secondary school. Why were they saying that? So that people will know that going into politics is not there to serve yourself or to amass wealth for yourself or to do anything that is injurious to the society, but to serve. That leadership is service. But here we are. When somebody takes a political position today, he thinks that it is a position a position to oppress other people. In fact, when they are going for these positions, even a madman can play drums for them and they will dance. But when they take that position, they become a different thing entirely. It is now oppression. And this is what we are seeing from the political class. Impunity. This is the word, impunity. That is what the Nigerian politicians, those in the political class, you see, you talk about maybe when they were, you were talking about your place in Kubwa, that, the places that were supposed to be bungalows are turning into high-rise. Although, I have an explanation for that differently. That is maybe a discussion for another day. Now, because, the society is dynamic. so also is their environment and their circumstance. That is a discussion for another.
Okay.
But let me say that quite a lot of the recklessness and insanity we have in our urban areas are caused through impunity. When people think that they are now above the law, then you have a challenge. So it is a very, very, it's painful that we see some of these things. I say that what is happening is that this person will just take a quack, draw anything for him.
And then he begins to erect.
Now, if you look at, in some places, in some government offices, some ministers will take people, you will take somebody, maybe you are an engineer, maybe the FCT minister today may say that, you are my friend. I don't know, maybe he might not do that. I'm just giving an example.
I'm sure what you're going to say is positive.
It's negative.
Because to some extent, with all due respect, engineers have even created a lot of problems for us in this town.
Okay.
And then maybe you want you want to take a special advisor or somebody who will guide you in terms of planning matters. And then I'll go and go and pick an engineer.
Yes.
Not a town planner.
That is a square peg in a round hole. You can't get it right.
That's why we're not getting it
No,
right.
no,
Exactly.
I think I will need to disagree with you here. No, on a very serious note, let me quickly take it from the issue of road furnitures quickly in what we call the settlements. Now, how many of Nigerians bother about road furnitures when they drive? You see somebody saying, look, in the next 10 kilometer or in the next 10 meter, you're approaching a bend, please slow down. And you see the person increasing the speed at that point. So people don't bother about that. That is just by the way. Now, talking about the issue of maybe engineers, town planners, and every other person. In the building sector, everybody has a role.
That's right.
I cannot do the job of a town planner. It is expected. I can't also do the job of a surveyor. There are land surveyors, there are quantity surveyors, there are architects, there are town planners, there are engineers, structural engineers, who of course puts up the structure and ensure that the structures are properly in place. Now, everybody has his role. So anybody who is registered and who have an understanding of how this thing works, even if it's the town planner that is put there, of course, he won't leave his field to say, look, if he must advise the government well, definitely he should be able to advise the government on what is expected by every arm of these various professionals that I have called. But be that as it may, the major reason, like we have all said, personally, I keep attributing it to our attitude to whatever we do.
Okay.
Attitude to work, attitude to roads, attitude to virtually
I didn't
everything.
get the answer first. So are you trying to say that the minister should appoint, he can appoint the engineer?
I wish.
No,
Because
He can appoint anybody.
I think what he says is
He can just on my
No,
name.
let me help them settle this matter. See, Oga Minister, don't appoint, just appoint me. Leave both of them. Then I'll hire them both.
I don't both of us to come and do the job.
All right, so let's visit our audience and say, I like your program. My name is Kingsley. Please, is it also still planning that they are spoiling good roads in the city centers
Bingo.
instead of using the resource
Look at my
to
house.
upgrade the bad roads around Lugbe and other satellite towns? Okay, we actually started with this, and Joy did you the favor, and okay.
Joy spoke
We're not
about
going to
it.
go back there again.
She spoke about it.
You spoke about it intensely. Not until the government begins to build. Okay, say China deliberately built 100,000 roads. Nigeria should also do the same so that we can. So this one said, Madam Speaker, you failed to mention the road hierarchy where the guys were driving on high speed. Have you ever watched F1 Grand Prix? Sorry,
Grand Prix.
Abuja roads are highways. Are highways required you to speed or to high speed?
Highways required to speed.
Because most people speed on the highway.
That's why I said speed
Yeah.
race.
Speed race.
And the problem is people come from other country, other states who don't see this kind of good roads, and they just take advantage of it.
True.
They do that.
So another person says the government should please decentralize the ministries, MDAs to other parts of FCT to make it easier
was also
to
part of it.
people. That would also develop those satellite towns and reduce congestion. So that's actually what we mentioned earlier. Good morning. House, my prof said houses were sold to civil servants in Abuja. How much where the house is sold from Faro Muta. Are you looking for that? Okay, he's writing it from.
It's too late.
He's writing it from Mushi. You're asking for the cost.
They
The
want to
house
come and
not
buy one.
finished. They're
You
not
know,
selling
don't
it.
take.
Don't
It have paid. Okay, I know that the town planners are doing something, and I need you to speak to the teaming Nigerians, because a lot of people are asking questions, especially as you are president in town planning. What should we be involvement? At what point should we begin to interact with you? Especially as I know that just as you predicted for her, I am about to build a house, 3 houses
wow.
actually.
Wow.
Yes.
Amen.
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 So what should I be doing as a person who
What are the
needs to
measures?
do this? What's my baby step to building? How do I interact with the town planners?
All right. Before you start thinking of building a house, the first thing is that you must have land.
Before.
I mean,
He's giving us the step. He's giving us the step.
now you must have land. Now, let me in Abuja, land is not land.
Okay.
If
I get it.
you got to a village head and say this is our ancestral land, and you just paid maybe 300,000, 400,000, and then you get a
That
piece
means you
of
don't have
land.
the land.
That is just a piece of paper. It is not land.
Okay.
It is not title.
All right.
Now, you go to the land department, pick up an application form, and then fill it, and then follow the requirements through. Then they give you at least an right of occupancy. Then you have a title. Now, as they are giving you title, land in Abuja, they are also categorized into land uses. There's the one for residential, there's one for commercial, industrial, and so on, recreational, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, some people who intended to build a house for residential purposes, maybe they'll just go and get land that is meant for commercial, or vice versa. Yeah. In fact, it is worse. I mean, it is more rampant. People will have land for residential purposes, and then they want to do commercial. And so, if you did that, and then you got a plan for it, you take it to the Department of Development Control, you will not get approval. Why? Because
they give approvals and you pay.
No.
Depends.
You don't get approval.
You don't get approval.
That will amount
Check
to
the purpose.
That's backyard. That's backyard approval.
well,
And they get it.
Maybe
okay,
Joy
fine.
got. Maybe she got one.
Fine.
One of our 3 houses.
If you got that, that's no approval either.
Yes, it is not.
Because one day you are going to be sanctioned. If you are not seen today, tomorrow you'll be seen.
That's so.
Perhaps.
The long arm of the law will catch up with you sometime, someday.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Nigerians are writing, and I think they want to talk more on town planning and buildings in Abuja. So I want to extract promise in front of the camera that you'll still come and join us again to educate us further.
Anytime you call me, I'll be here.
Okay. I said it intentionally so that when I'm calling, if you refuse, I'll come back here and sit and say, I called him or he refused to come.
I'll always be around.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time. And I wish I had time to take everybody. My director says I don't have the time. So I'll just quickly say, drive safely. And please, Joy, don't be angry too much.
She should always leave her house.
Joy, please be joyful.
Thank you for this.
Bye.
Thank you. It's my own.
We say
I'm
happy
sure
birthday
everybody's
to you
wanting for me
again.
to open
Yeah.
it. I see opening.
In arrears.
Thank you. Bye-bye.